Hello, my name is Kaipacha, and I want to talk to you today about astrology. Not just astrology, but astrology is the study of, in so many ways, life. Life on this planet, life of human consciousness, life in general. It's based upon the idea, as above, so below. As without, so within. The macrocosm mirrors the microcosm. So it's not Newtonian-based cause and effect, like the planets are doing anything to us. Not at all. It's more based upon reflection and synchronicity. That the outside mirrors the inside. So when we look at what is going on in the outside world, whether it's our relationships or society or the cosmos itself, it mirrors what's going on deeper, deeper, deeper within our own subconscious, unconscious self, even our physical bodies. Astrology is the oldest art science on planet Earth. The very ancient wisdom keepers from times immemorial observed and correlated. Observation and correlation. Over thousands of years, when Mars rose in the sign of the Scorpion, the king declared war. Okay, when Venus came, around in the sign of Libra, people, fell in love and got married. I mean, and it was just recorded and recorded and recorded. And so it has this very ancient observational aspect to it. It also has a very spiritual aspect to it. The type of astrology that I do says that we are reincarnating souls, and that we choose the time, the place, the parents, the genetic structure, the gender, the religion, everything. And we come in with prana. Prana in Hindu is spirit, breath, prana, breath. When we draw in that first breath, it says that that was very intentional. So when we draw up our astrological birth chart, our horoscope, it is for the moment that prana, that spirit, enters our physical body, and it mirrors why we are here. It mirrors what our soul intention is for coming into this body at this time on this planet. It's amazing. And there's a lot of people that don't believe in astrology, and all I say is, you don't believe in astrology because you never had your chart read by a good astrologer. Because if you do, they will blow your mind. Like they blew my mind 45 years ago, and I've been into it ever since. It is mind-boggling, mind-blowing. So there are different parts of the body. There's medical astrology. There's financial astrology. There's relationship and love astrology. You can look at any aspect of your life, of your soul, of your, I look at a person's purpose and their evolutionary intention for being here. But we can look at every part of the chart. And it's really, we use a lot of, I use Carl Jung and his archetypes. So it's like we each have these different parts of ourselves. Our inner mother, our inner father, our inner lover, our inner magician, okay, our inner warrior. Okay, we have these different, and they're symbolized in the dance of the planets. Mars the warrior, Venus the lover, Jupiter, the king, Saturn, all right, the judge. So we've got these different archetypes. And in your own personal chart, all of them are mixed in a totally unique way just for you. So astrology is as complex as you are, which is like super complex. What you read in the sun sign horoscope column of the newspaper is just like, you know, taking calculus and turning it into 2 + 2. Yeah? It's like so not the whole story. So when we look at our chart, we want to look at not only our sun sign, but the moon. The moon is our mother, our childhood, our inner child, what we do and feel for security, for emotional connection. She has to do with our digestion and our stomach and how we absorb things and take things in. So I'm going to go through each one of the 12 signs of the zodiac, but I don't want you to take it as sun sign astrology. The best thing you can do is you could get your chart calculated. You can do it for free. On the internet, just type in astro.com. Input your time, date, and place of birth. You need to know the time, the date, and the place. And you can calculate, and they'll draw up and they'll give you your whole chart. Okay? Then you have to kind of look at these symbols, but I'll give you the symbols here on this on this website too. And you can look at your sun sign in particular, very powerful. The sun, my vital nuclear power plant, my life force, the creative energy. And then there's the moon. Look at your moon sign. The sun is like, yeah, it's extroverted. The moon is my inner world, my subconscious, my feminine instincts, and my inner emotional reality. That's very powerful. Yeah. And then for if you're looking at, medical astrology, you want to look at the sign on the cusp of the 6th house. It could be Capricorn, Aries, Libra. These all have different parts of the body, different glands that they're associated with, different foods, different herbs, different colors. There's this whole world, and this is what is so cool about astrology, is it unites and relates everything together. So you may think there's no connection between money and sex, but in Scorpio, money and sex come together. You may think, that there's no connection between, my reputation and my boss. But in the 10th house in Capricorn, my reputation and my boss fall together. I mean, it's just like, so there's all these relationships, with life, with real estate, having to do with my mother, 4th house Cancer. So you can get all these things connected. Yeah, Jupiter has to do with my liver, and blood, and then it has to do with different herbs. So it's really amazing stuff. I hope that it will spark your curiosity, that you'll take a little bit of an interest in it, and understand more of yourself and your life and your purpose, and open your consciousness, expand your consciousness through it. It's a great tool for that. So I'm going to take you through a journey through the zodiac, each one of these 12 signs, and look at the parts of the body, the organs. We can even go into the chakras. I'm not sure exactly how far I'm going to take all of this, but it's going to be really super cool and exciting. And I look forward to sharing with you some more. Again, check out your chart at astro.com. And my website is newparadigmastrology.com. And I've got a bunch of free downloads and PDF files. I have a horoscope interpretation guide. Takes all the symbols and tells you, this is Aries and this is Pluto and this is, You can download that for free off of my website. So you get the chart from astro.com. You get the guide from my website. You look at your chart and look at your sun sign and your moon sign and that 6th house cusp, and then you get this idea of foods that are good for you, different tea that is good for you, different herbs that are good for you, and also things that are not so good for you. Yeah? So, you know, you can kind of make your way through the world with some guidance from your own spiritual, unconscious soul self. That's the best guidance, is yourself. And I call the astrological chart a blueprint of your soul. So check out the blueprint of your soul, and you won't be sorry that you did. You will be glad you did. Okay. See you soon. All right, let's look at that sign of Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's called cardinal fire. Aries was the god of war. It's ruled by the planet Mars, which is also, okay, in the Romans, that was the god of war. So we're looking at Aries. First, war, assert, charge, pioneer. So Aries, whether you got the sun in Aries, the moon in Aries, Aries rising, okay, or Aries ruling the 6th house, this is particularly appropriate for you. In medical astrology, Aries rules the head and the primitive brain and the sympathetic nervous system that gets us going. It gets us moving. It rules the adrenal glands with the fight or flight. You know, it's like, wow, 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 go, charge. It rules what? Planet Mars is inflammation. So the problems that Aries can have, okay, besides like putting their head through windshields and banging their heads against the wall or falling and, you know, getting a lot of scars on their head, is problems with the eyes. They can have a baldness thing going on. They can have like issues with their teeth. Okay, all things having to do with the head. I mean, including like brain tumors and things like that. We don't need to get, you know, meningitis, even, you know, having to do with, you know, the fluids of the brain, inflammation, and of course getting knocked unconscious. Actually, Aries does have to do with consciousness itself. It does also, when we come into contact with the glandular system, the endocrine system, it has to do with progesterone, testosterone, right, as well as adrenaline. So you can also just have this whole kind of, you know, it's this energy. The downside of that is what? A lack of energy and lethargy. If something is bothering Aries, I mean, this is the thing, is Aries rules impulsiveness and instinctive desire to start. And when society or partnerships or bosses or something comes along and suppresses the instinct, Aries is all about instinct. So suppression of instinct leads to anger. So Aries people can also have anger issues, yeah? And that anger can lead to what? Frustration. And frustration can lead to headaches, right? You know, they can just like get these headaches. They can get, you know, just, you know, kind of anxious. Yeah, so sometimes anxiety or anxiousness, frustration comes around to do this. Aries and Mars rules the 3rd chakra. Yeah, this is your power chakra. Self-assertiveness and self-esteem. So, you know, these people really, you know, need, yeah, a lot of space, a lot of freedom. They are very independent. They need to like go their own way. A lot of times they need to have their own way. And sometimes they're opposite Libra. Okay, if there's problems, Libra is also associated with the kidneys. And of course, we know the adrenal glands and the kidneys. This is a whole kind of a system here. When Libra causes problems and breakdowns, it affects the Aries whole system also. So there are different, herbs, there's different crystals, there's all types of different, remedies that we can use to, and the main thing is to like stay calm, cool down, keep cool. So we can look at some of the different herbs and the teas that will help Aries out, stabilizing that system and keeping them from getting acne and pimples and even eye disorders and scars on their head and aches and pains and headaches and oh my God, yeah? So that's our Aries energy. Roar for the warrior. Okay. Let's take a look at our Taurus friends. Taurus is the second sign of the zodiac. Aries is first, Taurus is second. Aries is the beginning. Taurus wants to ground. It is fixed earth, as in rock, or the mountain. Okay, yeah? So fixed is solid, sustainable, builders. So we want to build, we want to sustain, we want to survive. Financial, as an earth sign, it has to do with the physical body and physical possessions and physical tangible proof. Okay, like show me the money. So these people are solid, they are dependable, they are builders. And medically now, Taurus rules the throat and the lower jaw, the lower palate. So it has to do with our salivary glands. It has to do with gum disease. It has to do, okay, with the trachea and the larynx and everything going down the throat and like sore necks, sore throats, big thing for Taurus. A lot of times you'll see these Taurus people and they are like bulls. They are solid. They got big, thick necks. Yeah, and sometimes a nice, big, solid jaw. Sometimes they're stout. Yeah, a little shorter. Well, not that I'm stout. I can't do Taurus. But anyway, so yeah, what is it about that? I mean, that's got its pluses and its minuses, all right? These people are dependable, they are reliable, they come through in the crunch. And if you want to build a house, by golly, get a Taurus. They'll build you a solid house. If you want to move to a new house, oh, whoa, now just wait a minute. We don't need to change things so fast. So, this managing change, okay, is a big thing for Taurus. There can be financial insecurity, there can be emotional insecurity, and these both tend towards what? Problems with the thyroid gland. So these people may get stressed out, they may get really tense and have a hard time to relax. And they may think it's their environment or their life or their situation, but check out that thyroid gland. Yeah, the hypoactive, hyperactive, too much, too little, okay, pizzazz, bang, bounce, whatever. So this Taurus energy, the challenges that Taurus can face, yeah, like I say, they have to do, okay, with all these, it actually has also to do with the inner ear. Okay, and there is an interesting aspect of what? Yeah? The connection between the fifth chakra, okay, the throat, and also the colon. Cholantoxemia can actually affect the thyroid. And sometimes, the Taurus moving slowly, okay, that can be good when you want to last. Taurus will last, okay? They are sensuous, sexual beings, okay, that can, really massage, get into the 5 physical senses of touch and taste and smell and hearing, and you put on some incense and light some candles and you get a good Taurus massage. It'll really get you going. Yeah, and the downside of being so sensuous and so physical and so in their bodies can be what? Sometimes a little overeating. If there is emotional stress, okay, there can be comfort food. So particularly this is with the moon, okay, moon and emotional, and the Taurus rising a little bit, but the sun in Taurus is not, not so much, right? When we deal with emotions, we're dealing more with the moon. So you can also see that, this is the larynx and the throat and all these glands in here, the jugular vein, okay, is also Taurus. So these folks, the main thing about Taurus is survival and simplicity. Simplicity, living a simple life, close to the earth, maybe out in the country, being a gardener, being a massage therapist. It's like, Taurus likes it, Taurus is like the Garden of Eden. I always associate with the Garden of Eden. It's like the fruits, okay, of the vine, and all the voluptuousness of Mother Nature is really supportive of that Taurus energy. And if they're in the, if you're in the city, or you're busy, or you're getting stressed financially, or things like that, it's very good for you to, rather than turn to the refrigerator, turn into, inside yourself, develop your inner resources. New talents, new capacities, new sources of income. Because that's the downside of Taurus. They can get stuck in a rut and continue to do the same thing over and over. And we know that problems are very seldom solved at the same level that they were created. So Taurus wants to, and this is the opposite polarity of Taurus, is Scorpio. And Scorpio has to do with transformation. So Taurus can also be self-absorbed, very much into the self. So it's good to develop your inner resources, but then it's also good to balance them, to listen, to receive, to engage other people, and not isolate too much, go out, too much by yourself. So these are some of the facets, some of the aspects, some of the pluses and the minuses of that. And of course, you have to look at the whole chart. If you have your sun, moon, rising sign in Taurus, you have to look at it. Is it opposite Saturn? Is it square Mars? Is it trine Venus? These will all give you further indications, okay, as to this more specific nature of what you may be facing as a Taurus, as the bull. Gemini, friends. Gemini is the 3rd sign of the zodiac, and it is what we call mutable air. Mutable as in mutate, as in change, air as in light and airy, and what? The air, pollen flies through the air, sound goes through the air, so it's communication. Right? So Geminis like to talk, they like to communicate, they like to email, they like to Instagram, they like to keep busy, they're just going. And in astrology, Gemini has to do, it's ruled by the sign, the planet Mercury, okay, the messenger of the gods. He's got the wings up there on his head, and in the physical body, the central nervous system. So you may know Geminis, they're kind of like, you know, they're moving, they're, you know, they're maybe talking. It can be some often, you know, well, not often, but, you know, sometimes there can be problems with the nervous system. There can be problems with nervousness, okay, you know, and always changing, and that can create what? Scattered thinking, sometimes where or memory, there can be memory issues or memory loss. Okay, I mean, a little later on in life, you know. So these are some of the downsides. The upside is positive thinking. We know that positive thinking has a positive effect on your health overall. And we know that Gemini is mutable and changeable. So like diseases or problems or, you know, colds, influenza, things like this, you know, things can come and go. And they can, you know, with a positive attitude, this can create, yeah, this can assist in the healing process. So besides all that, I mean, Gemini, this is a big one. Gemini rules the hands, the arms, the shoulders, okay, yeah. And so, you know, fingers and crafts and all things like that. Geminis like to do little things, and, you know, sometimes it's with instruments and playing music. Sometimes it's with, you know, crafts and things like that. Keep those fingers going. A lot of times they talk with their hands. I've got the moon in Gemini. I admit it. And I say what I have is a selective memory. I don't say that it's a bad memory. I just say it's selective. I just remember what I like to remember. Anyway, and sometimes it goes in one ear and out the other, because Geminis can be a little better at talking than they are at listening. So speaking of which, this is, you know, they also have to do with the inhale. Because let's look at this. Really important with Gemini is that Gemini rules the tubes of the body, because the tubes connect things. Thoughts connect things. Geminis are networkers, right? And your emails connect people. And talking connects us, communication. So, you know, this is all about, yeah, communication and connection, and that's what Gemini is all about. And some of their issues can be underlying, okay, the psychological underpinnings of some of their issues can be communication problems, or when their communication is blocked, okay, or when there's like this inability to, you know, to really connect. This can actually create all sorts of problems and disorders in the body. But let's look at some of these tubes. Not only is it the trachea, okay, but then we move on to, okay, the lungs are ruled by Gemini, okay, yeah, the bronchial tubes, the fallopian tubes. So sometimes there can be female problems, female complaints, okay, going on, irregular blood flow, you know, irregular moon cycles and things like that can happen when Gemini gets stressed out, okay. The urethra, yeah, and the urethra. So these are the tubes that connect the kidney to the bladder, and then the bladder, you know, out to the, you know, to the exterior of the body. These are tubes. Yeah, so there's all these tubes in our bodies, even the capillaries are, you know, and this, so the lungs and the tubes and the bronchia, this brings in a whole nother realm. Because what? You know, we know that the lungs are also associated with grief. Yeah? And if Gemini is not light and happy and communicative and things like that, you know, and they get down or depressed, or they, you know, they can have issues, okay, that lead to grief, lead to smoking, okay, lead to emphysema, all right, you know, so there's all these kinds of, you know, issues that can come up with the lungs. Bronchitis, obviously, is another one. What else? I mean, you know, this stuff kind of, you can just kind of put these kinds of things together. Tuberculosis. Tuberculosis has to do with the tubes, okay, of the body. So we have all this energy happening with Gemini, and what we can say, you know, for Gemini is, and I often say, you know, people with lots of Gemini energy, it's like sing. Like open that, open that Mercury function, that communication function. Oh, the tubes of the inner ear, so they can get earaches. Yeah, and things, the eustachian tubes. I mean, there's just like so many freaking tubes, man. I don't know all the tubes. I'm not a doctor. But I think you get a little idea that medical astrology is a whole field in and of itself. And of course, Gemini is the student. So you Geminis may be very interested in learning more about astrology, learning more about medical astrology, to learn more about yourself and, of course, your capacities and also some of your challenges. So we'd say that, hypertension or the nervous system, just like going bonkers. So like, Gemini, Gemini can be like a butterfly, okay? I mean, I got these feathers all over me. They're like birds that need to fly. And they need to change. And they change their mind. And society and parents and bosses and spouses and everything may not always super appreciate this changeable nature, yeah? Because Gemini learns something new and then they change. So they need some space, they need freedom to change. And if they get locked in or blocked in, or they have to show up at a little cubicle, for their job every day, unless it's connected to cyberspace, they could get challenged, yeah, with these, kinds of jobs, lifestyles, yeah, that do not have enough change or enough variety. They are the jack of all trades, yes, many interests going on. So Gemini, baby, go for it. The world needs you. Stay healthy, don't smoke too much, and enjoy yourself. Namaste.